सभी को मेरा सादर जय जिनेन्द्र. Welcome all to our second workshop on Brahmi calligraphy. आज के वर्कशॉप को शुरू करने के पहले I would like to first of all let everybody know that even if आपके पास सारे materials जिससे हमने शेयर किए थे वो नहीं है, तभी भी आप इस क्लास को ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं and आप इससे लर्न कर सकते हैं and later on इसका एक एडिटेड वर्जन हमारे YouTube चैनल पे भी आपको मिलेगा, जिससे कि आप फर्दर enhance your knowledge and you can continue learning. So with this, I would start today's workshop. And before doing that, I would like to invite our guide, Mrs. Minaxi Choksi. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to our the Jain Foundation platform once again. Last जो हमारा workshop था, it was such a hit. I would rather say that because हमारे पास इतने सारे queries आए उसके बाद में कि why don't you start like a series of this so that we can learn in detail and इस तरह के हमें जब feedback जब मिलती है और जो encouragement मिलता है तो surely we are so driven कि at least कि हम लोग एक और क्लास करें where we would do some kind of basics और basics से थोड़ा advanced जाए. So with this workshop, you will come to know how to make the pen, like how it is all mentioned that how you can make a pen for calligraphy with the basic things which are available. So many things to learn. Looking forward to today's workshop. So before I would invite our guide to take over, I would like to give a brief introduction about her. Mrs. Minaxi Choksi is the art director of KalaCircle at Jain Center of Southern California, USA. She has a vast experience in the field of fine arts and graphic design, in which she has also done major. She is proficient with various art medium, including digital, watercolors, oils, charcoal, pastels, inks, ceramics, glass, and so on and so forth. In the field of calligraphy, Minaji is trained by Master Calligraphers from around the world in the last 14 years, and she's been taking calligraphy workshops at many places since then. Recently, she has taken workshops at JAINA Gujarati and JAINA Center, Gujarati and Calligraphy Conventions, Ekal Vidyalay and Samkit Group. We are lucky to have her on the Jain Foundation platform. Once again, I would thank her for accepting our invitation to do our second workshop. And we are as I said, the first workshop was extremely successful. And thanks to you, ma'am. And now I would cordially invite you to please take over and start our workshop. Namaste, Jai Jinendra Minaji, ma'am.
Jai Jinendra, thank you for the lovely introduction. And thank you for so much encouragement. And I thank all the people for joining us again. We'll start with the Nokar mantra. So, Namo Arihantana, Namo Siddhana, Namo Ayuriyana, Namo Vachaya, Namo Loye Sampasana. Eso Panchanamokaro Sabva Pava Panasa Mangalanancha Sarvesen Vadamam Vedam. Jai Jinendra, everyone. And I always feel this ancient calligraphy is handed down by our first Tirthankar for this Chovisi, Rishabh Dev Bhagwan. So I think we have to pay our obeisance for his handing us over such a rich heritage. Besides agriculture, he handed down calligraphy and script, a Brahmi script, which people are historians are just realizing that it's a very, very antique script. So we'll start today first with the coffee. Usually calligraphers use walnut crystals. Can you see it? It's like coffee, you know? And when you dilute these crystals, it's not actually from walnut. These are from the fruits of the oak tree, and that's how they treat it. And so it doesn't, when you mix it, it stays fresh, and then it doesn't get bacteria and all that. I don't know if they use any chemicals or anything, but usually it's a natural dye. So we'll try using it with our good Nescafe. I mean, not to promote Nescafe, but it's instant. So what I did was in a small cup, I just added one tablespoon of the instant coffee, and we recommend the distilled water. So I kept it. And you just add as much as it can cover the granules. You stir it very gently, and you have your organic ink for today. Just gently stir it because it will lump a little bit. And I would like you all to do it. And if anybody, I shouldn't have any problems as such. And we don't make it, and if you think it's become too watery, you can always add little more crystals to it. So this is the consistency I have. I don't know if y'all can see it. Okay.
Can you pour a little bit, ma'am? A little bit,
Yeah.
like, yeah. Yeah.
Let me, because this film has like a drippy kind, you know,
Okay.
not
runny. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be too thick, otherwise it will get stuck in the thing. And let it soak a little bit. It'll get ready while we are doing our pens, you know, so that shouldn't take too much time. So the next thing was to get an old soda can. Of course, nobody drinks too much these days, the thing, but even if you have any juice can or whatever. So this is what we are going to do. If you can poke anywhere, usually I do it at the bottom with a knife or anything. Okay. Now if you can poke it, then what I do is I usually use a scissors to cut out the base. And the cans are, these aluminum cans are really flimsy, and even more now because they have to use more thinner aluminum. And just to speed up the things, I've used my bigger scissors. We just need about 5 centimeters. So about 2 inches. So that is approximately, I think, so 4 or 5 centimeters. It's so don't worry about the curve. We need that curve to fold the pen, so go with the curve. So, and then with your measuring ruler, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be accurate, you know, about 5 centimeters, I would think would be good enough. So use a marking pen, Sharpie. Sorry, 6 centimeters. Go ahead with the 6 centimeters. I'm so used to the inches. Okay, then get the, fold it in half. Then whatever is your holder, which you're going to use, like I'm going to use this, my old pencil as a holder, which you don't need it afterwards. You make sure you use that, or you can even use a popsicle stick, but then your pen won't be that long. So if you're used to the long handles, I would recommend use a little one of your old pencils, which you're not going to use, you know, which the erasers have dried out, and or you don't need the pencil anymore. That's what I would do. Then the approximate width which you need definitely is to cover this pencil. So leaving that side, you just make a little corner here, and then because we are going to cut this portion out, it's better to leave little extra than to cut very short, so you don't need so you can not join the piece, but you can always cut it extra. So this is what you'll get. And then you don't bring it all the way up. You make sure there is about 1 centimeter left in the for flexibility when we tape it. So we are almost done. This is whatever shape you would like to give your pen. And there is no particular shape, which it is what you get comfortable over the year. When you do 2, 3, you'll realize which one you favor more than the other one. So those are the little heads up I can give you here. Then you take your duct tape. You want to take the strongest tape for this. The masking tape or the packaging tape is not going to work because when we dip it in the ink, it's going to keep on coming up. So your electrical tape, because that will really help. So you go around it, stick it on the top first. Pull it tight. Make sure it's secured. Get your second part. You can go over it from the back, front, seal it properly, basically, you know. And then if you like, you can cut even more if this is too big. So just to let you all know, these are available in the markets. These are folded pen, but they don't have that much flexibility. And over the time, I have made different ones. And each one writes a little differently than the other ones. I'll just show it to you. So before we start, now the Popsicle one, I'm going to show it to you, which is the most simplest one. Just if you're not sure, then you just draw a little cut so your hands don't shake or anything while you're giving that cut. It's so this is our ink, which is ready now. And again, if you think it is too watery or anything, just feel free to add more crystals to it, and you will know your ink better than what I can do. So the first popsicle stick we'll try out. We just want to make sure there are no rough edges. Use your sandpaper, the fine grained sandpaper. You can give it a little shape also. So ink doesn't get stuck. So now we'll try using that. I usually keep paper towels handy in case if there is a drip or if just to avoid messes. the popsicle stick will take few minutes before it gets the ink. So let's do the hand balancing first. You point it towards 11 o'clock, like on your clock, the old clocks, not the digital clocks. You point your pen towards 11 o'clock. And then try to bring it down. Why we do this? So our muscles are warmed up. We can get, and this rustic, I call it rustic calligraphy because last time people said, oh, but our scripts, Brahmi script doesn't look like that. You know, yes, I was doing it more like a calligraphy form. But then I thought maybe you guys are already ready for the rustic one. The rustic, so then there is no particular definition to it, you know, not as defined. So it helps. And if this is the angle you like, you can do it this way too. So do a few strokes like that and your hand is warmed up. There is the curve. Since Brahmi is the parent script of so many other Indian scripts, I'm doing it in the form, the angle which Devanagari we use it, you know, so that's why I'm using it on this way. If it was Latin, then I would, like the regular alphabets, then I would be using it this way. So then the strokes are, the angles are changed. It's this way. So that's the difference between Devanagari, major difference between the Devanagari and the script. English scripts and the Devanagari scripts, the angles are different. For our sake, we'll stick to this angle. See, I'll tell you why the angle makes a difference. See, the Latin would be so wrong. Okay. The O would be. So once your hand is balanced, we'll try the Devanagari, I mean the Brahmi. And whoever missed out the previous sessions, to know more about the history of Brahmi, Jain Foundation has done such a wonderful job by giving the introduction by Muniji, who is in Varanasi. And she has given 3 workshops, right, Smita?
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am. And fortunately, we have all those recordings in our playlist in our Jain Foundation
yes,
YouTube channel.
yeah, it's archived. So
Yeah.
look it up. Yes, and that definitely will help because my concentration is currently on teaching you all how to write rather the in a calligraphy form rather than teaching you, which we did it in the last lesson. So in case if you wanted more details about it, we are just speeding up so we can teach you a little more on the artistic form of it. So you can see it's very rustic. I'm not worried about how it's going to look, whether I should complete this line. No, because we want it to look like the inscription which were found on the Ashoka pillars. That was where they found that this is a Jain script because of our the not really Jain script, but Ardhamanti. It's written in Ardhamanti Prakrit. That's when they realized that it's not Sanskrit, and we got this our heritage script back. And the reason I'm doing this is hopefully we inspire more people, uh, the youngsters, that if if not if they are not inclined artistically, at least they if they incline as historians to do more studies on it and decipher for so many of our scriptures, which if they're in the old script, so we can get our heritage back. And I thought it was my way of my gratitude towards Jain Foundation for doing such a lovely program of bringing such every day such beautiful programs, and I thought it was my duty to give back. So
Thank you so much, ma'am.
these are the vowels which I'm doing currently. They call it, the vowels are called Vyanjan. Is that right? Super.
Yes, ma'am. And after finishing this, I would just like you to run through the vowels, just tell it out, just to brush up the memory.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So this is and this is the A. This is the E, the short E, the long E. This is U. This is another, the long U. This is A. I. Please let me know if I'm out of focus or anything, if you can't see. The O. Oh. Is it too fast or it's okay?
If anybody has any doubt, किसी को कुछ पूछना है तो please you can write on the chat box. So as and when Meena ji will have time, so I will keep asking and she will be responding. So if it is too fast, too slow, or is right pace, please let us know. And also would request if people can open their start the videos so that the entire workshop will have a more interactive appeal.
So this was and, Now we'll do it with our handmade pens. And even that, you use the sandpaper to sand down a little bit so there is no rough edges.
So ma'am, basically you dipped the tip of the pen and then lifted it up like that?
Yes, So, okay. There are some pens which I had made earlier. So I'm just using for the ease of it because I have practiced on those. So this is the reason we did with this filament is you get all the rustic and then it's useful. Now this with this pen, because there's a lot of ink which comes out, I recommend to use watercolor paper, which is more thick. The paper which I use is Fabriano. It's an Italian paper. I know it's available in India, and they don't use any animal products. So, and this is the cold press. The reason I use cold press, so there is texture, if you can see it. So the more texture it is, the more rugged it looks. I'll show you this with our, if you want to see how the walnut ink writes, it's very similar. I had made this little dark. The same thing, you can do it with the coffee. And this script is perfect for this kind of pen. And more it splashes, it vibrates, the better it is. You'll get really nice splashes like this. Then it looks really, really authentic. See the splashes it makes here? Those are wonderful. So try to vibrate the pen. There are more better pens, which we especially do, like, of course, those are more expensive, but with the practice, you can do it with these pens also. the splashes. Yeah. Now, there is one more pen which I had made was like with the copper. Once you get a little more experience, you can do it with copper also. So that one writes, because it doesn't have that much flexibility, because copper is more stronger metal. So that's the difference. Depending on how you cut your pen, see the difference is how I had cut this, while is this. So you'll get that kind of a point. And yes, you can use the same ones for Devnagari also, and I'll show you what I've done with Devnagari on that. So that's the walnuts, the ink. The crystals are available, and I'm sure it should be available in India also now. There are bamboo pens available, and I'll just show you how they write. So if you need to write something small, you can always do that with these bamboo pens. I know the columns are available in India, which are those reed pens, we call it here, and you can use those also. But it's not going to give you it'll give you the fine points. The reed pens, of course, the reed pens will give you the angles, but the angles are slightly different because it's used for Urdu. So in India, at least, unless you make your own reed pens, reed is a plant, and that is also a natural pen. If anybody remembers what were the letters which helped them to decipher that this is a Brahmi script, does anyone remember which were the letters? If you can put it in the chat. The more it vibrates, the better splashes it makes. This is the third. And look how simple the letters were. Even somebody, I heard it in one of the lectures, that Rishabh Dev Bhagwan taught both his daughters of course, that was discussed, informed before, you know, he taught Sundari the math and he taught Brahmi the script. So how advanced were our Tirthankars who could foresee the future that will need, that the girls need to be educated, you know. This is the letter which was deciphered first, the by James Prince, sorry. And then this is the Dhanush, I can never forget, like the Dhanush. And this is the no, to go with the Dan Patra, that was the first, which was deciphered. So I'll show some of the things. How are we doing on the timing? Should I go ahead showing the other things?
We can move on, Meenaji.
Okay, yeah, because that way we'll have time to show you other things. See, this is done with the same kind, with the ruling pens. Last time somebody was asking me what I was writing with, and I want so this can be done in a rustic way. With the inks, then you can drop the other inks in it, or you can drop other colors. So you can get different effects. Yes, all these, this one is a little more defined, if you see. See, these letters are more defined. And everything comes with a lot of practice. And that's why calligraphy, I would say, is very meditative because it's very repetitious, like, but it helps you to concentrate to achieve perfection. That's the goal, depending on what script you're looking for, right? So then this idea of teaching the rustic one came from a lady who mentioned last time, you know, that, oh, the one which you are teaching, it's not that this thing, it doesn't look antique. And I thought, okay, let's teach the rustic style. And that was my inspiration. What else you can do with your remaining ink? I mean, your coffee. You can spread the coffee. Then you can lift it with the brushes. Dip your brushes in the water, and then this is an old one. I don't think it'll lift too much. Well, it is lifting. Okay, so you can see you can let it dry first, and then wet your brush. See, it'll lift. So you can get a really nice antique looking things. Yes. So I had written in the fusion style, ahimsa, aparigraha, anekantvad, principles of Jainism. With the same ink, the ink which we did, you can write like this also. It comes with perfection and practice. That's why it's
Wow.
and these are all my rough sheets, by the way, you know. So what can you do with Brahmi? You can make cards like this, you know, bookmarks with Brahmi lettering. you use just with the inks, you can do it. This was done with watercolor pencil, but you can do it. You can do it with watercolor pencils also. Watercolor pencils are same like color pencils, but it can be used with. Okay, this is my other practice sheets. So just to let you know that so much practice is required, and the more you practice, you yourself will feel the difference. Again, I'm showing you all the practice sheets so you can see all my mistakes or whatever, you know. So this is done with pointed pen, because last time someone asked about certain things and they wanted to know more about the materials. And I thought, if we have time, that's what I was going to show you, to give you a little knowledge about different materials which are available here. And now it's available in India also. So let me show you the pens which I used. This was done by, these are called Pilot parallel pens. And this is 3.8 millimeters, and this was done with that. These are again my practice sheets. So these are all done with the 3.8 millimeters. Same here. This is all done with 3.8 millimeters. These are Japanese pens and they are available in India, I know for sure. This is a different width, and that is 6 millimeter. That's the blue cap one. They're available in sets also, but I would recommend, if you don't want to spend too much money, then just spending on the 6 millimeter and the 3.8 millimeter is good enough. So it's a green cap and the blue cap. The other thing I wanted to show you the difference in the pens, the Devanagari pens which are available, and what's the difference. And to choose the right one, if you're using for Devanagari, see the English ones, they call them automatic pens, but as I was saying, there's nothing automatic about it, you know. It's just a flat nib. Devanagari has an angle. So, now, there were certain Devanagaris. They say it as Devanagari, but this is not the angle for Devanagari. Devanagari is this angle. And how do you know? You make sure the marks, those are for the air to come in from there. And that should be the angle which you need. Because this is currently, I bought it from Amazon India, you know, and they sold it as Devanagari, but this is not Devanagari. Half of them were Devanagari, half of them were not. So I would recommend always go to your art store if you are in doubt, rather than ordering from Amazon. It's not like I'm against Amazon, but it's like, if you don't know your stuff, your art stores are the ones who knows the best. They are a little more expensive, but they have the knowledge about it. And when you help these small stores, small businesses, they help because they themselves are artists most of the time, or they employ artists, so they know exactly what they're doing. See, this is the ruling pen again. You know, these are flat. This is the Devanagari one, but it's not really Devanagari because the angle is this way. that's how, out of the half the pens, the denagree, they were not the real ones. The nibs. These are the hope you can see it properly. These are called chisel nibs. You can see the angles. They have a flat edge. Let me show you the pointed ones first.
So,
Do you
Meena,
need all this?
can I ask
Sorry.
you something basic? So,
Yeah.
is there something called like a beginner pen or advanced or intermediate, something
Yes.
like that to start with?
Yes, definitely. Most of the American calligraphers would recommend the speedball. And if speedball has their textbook also, that's the textbook I would recommend. If you're a beginner calligrapher, even if you're advanced, it is done by the current calligraphers. Before, it used to be done by typographers, so it was different. But now they know that most of the calligraphers are using it, and it has much more information how to do the scripts and all that. So it's a very concise book. In US, it's available for $15. And I know it's available in India because this letter was done by Sachin Shah, who is from Mumbai. And he was, yeah, you can see Sachin.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Yes, and okay, these in US, they recommend the speedball. I had learned with Mitchell, the Mitchell is more flexible. This has a reservoir on the top, reservoir in the sense that the ink can be on the top. You feed it with the brush, and the ink I haven't fed this thing, but usually what you do is you put it here, and instead of dipping in the thing, you usually feed it with the brush, the reservoir. So you get consistent ink supply. This is what is recommended in US, and the reservoir is on the top. The English calligraphers, most of them prefer the Mitchell. Mitchell is more flexible, and I studied with Mitchell, so it's a personal preference how heavy your hand is. If you are heavy-handed, they recommend you start with the speedball. Then there is for European calligraphers, and most of the good calligraphers use browser. Browser is spelled B-R-A-U-S-E. This is German. It doesn't have too much flexibility, but the finish is very perfect. So once it is for heavy handers. So if you're a beginner and if you're a heavy hander, yes, you'll definitely like browser. But for me, I was a very light-handed person. So for me, I had to fight it. But now I got used to it in the sense I practiced it more, and I'll show you the difference here with the browser when I got it, so. here. This was done with the browser. So you get the finest fine lines. If you get to see it, then you definitely want browser.
Mm.
This was done with Mitchell.
Mhm.
Now, the other one, which you all must know what it is, but it's not many teachers are proficient in India with that, but now they are getting this thing. Those are the pointed pen, and what you all must have seen the calligraphers write. It is this one. When you see the wedding invitations and all that, those are all the different pointed pens. There are Japanese nibs, they call it zebra G, and in this there are lots of variation. But this has the whole flourishing and all that. What you again, this is not one of my best, but this is what it's done with these kind of pens. So those are the pointed nibs. And this has the angle to it. When you want all that flourishing, then you need that, because it's done at a 55-degree angle. Okay. So that was one of the books, and then I'll just show you a couple of finished works. People want to know if you're not using the real gold leaf, what's the best alternate? And I would recommend Fine Tech. If you want to address envelopes and all that, this is very popular with calligraphers. It's one of those German ones. And I think Japanese ones have also come out, but I recommend this one. And this has different shades of gold and silver. And this is made from mica. And this is one of the finished. I had done the calligraphy with Gandhiji's quotes. And then for 2019, celebrating his 150th birthday. This I have done with the Devanagari calligraphy. So just some of the layouts. Of course, it takes more practice and more time, and layouts to do. Other very handy thing I would recommend is, most of the artists use this, and maybe you all already know about it. It's called a kneading eraser. So when you want to rub the lines, or sometimes it's in the corners, this is how it comes. It comes like this, and it's like your atta, you know. You can keep on softening it. Once it gets warmed up, then you can have a point, and then you can erase your little, if you're drawn some drawing lines or anything, you can erase with that. And it is good for quite some time, until it becomes really black. But otherwise, you can keep on using it every time you need it. Just how you do the atta, like that, you know. So that's why it's like how you knead the dough. That's how it's done. You know? So this is not that expensive. It's available at most of the art stores and even available online. And it's the kneaded eraser. They call it rubber, but in US, they call it eraser, I guess, you know. So any questions?
Do we need to draw any reference lines on black sheet? While rubbing line, we get marks on sheet which seems untidy. This is the
Okay.
question.
Yes, depends. That's why a good eraser is recommended. There are usually this one is called vanishing. The Stedler one also has something like this. They are pretty good erasers, and there is other pencil for really small things between the lines. These are special erasers. This is a Japanese eraser. Clickable, and you can erase most of the lines. And yes, lines would be needed if you're doing the Latin, but if you're doing rustic calligraphy, you don't need to do lines. Like today's, I just did the line for guidance so you all can see it properly, the height and all that. But if it's rustic, if it's some of them is small, big, doesn't matter, because that these were inscribed, you know, on the stones. So there was no, it wasn't as perfect as the Roman Trojan color, you know. So it doesn't need that much perfection. Because we were doing the rustic one, it doesn't have to be like the second one as I was doing on this watercolor paper. I didn't draw lines, you know, to give you an idea how the rustic one looks. And you can even, you don't have to do it in this format. You can always take it, let me try doing it with another a ruling pen, so you'll know how the ruling pen writes. This one has different angles. You hold it, you can get different. So when you are doing experimental, they call it experimental because you can use the artistic form. That doesn't necessarily require your drawing lines. And it's a good question. Thank you for asking. I hope I answered it. But definitely, when you go for very formal script, you definitely need the lines. Otherwise, your things will go crooked and it's not good. Like, let's say it's your wedding invitation. You know, if it's up and down, people will think, oh, this is not done correctly. So those are the things. When I do the formal ones, definitely I draw lines. Did you want me to show anything else, or? I went really fast because I wasn't sure if you'll get it done.
No, no, I no, no. And as Meena ji already informed that the previous workshop that we had, she taught us in detail about, on all the Brahmi letters and how to use them. So that is the reason we have not given stressed on teaching the letters, rather going ahead with the way we do it. So I think yes, ma'am. Okay, yeah, Ani ji, you can go ahead ask a question.
Hi, Namaste ji.
Namaste.
Just wanted to know, is there any particular rules about writing all these letters? I mean, you have to continue with in one flow. Can we take the pen up or like that?
A very good question. Yes, we write the Brahmi, we write it in okay, in this form, and it's not continuous. Calligraphy is, that's the difference between cursive and calligraphy. Cursive is like you write continuous.
Yeah.
Calligraphy is you break down the structure.
Yeah.
So the duct is usually we go with the downstroke first.
Uh-huh.
So that gives you your foundation.
Yeah.
And then I would do the diagonal ones. You give it so you know where it's going.
Yeah.
And this is the pen angle, which I had mentioned. It's at 11 o'clock. You can take it even further if you get comfortable. You can take it further too. You can take it at 45 degrees.
I see.
On the left. And then
thank you very much.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, thank you very much. And when you were just doing, I was trying to do, though I don't have the tools properly, I use this one. And I tried this one.
Oh, wonderful. It's so beautiful. You got a lot of hand balancing.
I see.
Have you been doing calligraphy before?
Only when I was very young, when I did it very little, just started lettering, you know.
Right. That's it, you know, that's it shows. So you know, even if you don't have the tools, let me show you, you can do it with the toothbrush also, small toothbrush, you know. See, so, you know, I remember when I was studying the very basic this thing, and when I would go to get the art materials, I wasn't sure whether I would continue something. So I, even in, as a matter of fact, even in calligraphy up to a few years back, I wouldn't spend that much money thinking that I don't know if I want to do this further, right? So then I realized the good material is important as your foundation rather than the other way around. The cheap material, cheap paper you get, that you won't get the correct effect.
Yeah.
So it's better to work the other way around, get proficient with it, then you can do anything, you know, with any tool.
Right.
So this once you have the handle, then you can use any of the tools, and you can even use a stick on the road, and you can do it.
Yeah. I think
but again,
that's how
the rustic one, so there is no rule, you know. So, and you can even do your decoration with the toothbrush like this, and do your backgrounds in a lighter this thing. And if at all you think that it's become too dark and the ink is coming out too much, just give a little this thing and you can get a dry look.
Right.
yeah, you'll get really beautiful marks, you know.
Yeah, this brush is
So,
working very nice.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Never thought about it.
right, right.
Wonderful.
And get a
Thank you.
tiny one, you know, the one with the kids, for the kids size rather than the adult one, to get more control over it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It
Yeah.
was wonderful.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anni. Thank you so much for your question. So another question
Welcome.
has come, yeah, Pragna Shaji, and asking me, where can we learn Brahmi calligraphy in India? So one place that I know is the Jain Foundation. Can definitely subscribe our channel, and we have started this, and hope so we will have a series coming up. So yes, apart from that, if you know, Meena ji, anything that you know to add on?
Not in Brahmi, because I myself tried to look for it and it wasn't. That's why I was inspired, as a matter of fact, you know, that I should do what is our heritage, and especially for the platform you all have raised. And I thought it would be most appropriate to do it on that. And since I had so many years of training in Latin calligraphy, so very important. Why it's called Latin? Because the languages, of course, the English and the French and German, they all use the same script. The script is called Latin. Of course, there's a Latin language also. Same thing with Devanagari. Devanagari is the script. Sanskrit is not a script. Sanskrit is a language. So people get confused. But Brahmi is the script. If the language was Ardhamati and Prakrit and Sanskrit and Pali, you know, so many languages were written in Brahmi, because it's one of those ancient scripts which we have inherited. So I thought maybe, you know, because things just started happening, and I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be teaching this, you know. Yeah, I was just picked out of a crowd and asked if I could do some seva, and this is how I ended up, you know. So I just started doing this 3 years ago when I got involved with initiating KalaCircle at the Jain Center. So what is the KalaCircle? It is the artistic arm. It's a subchapter of Jain Center of Southern California. You know, it's like how we have Mahila Mandal and senior groups and Pathshala groups. So we realized the community pioneers, they realized that we needed more help with day-to-day graphics and flyers, and to bring a little more Zen, not just because the majority of the people don't end up coming to the Jain Center. So they wanted to start a program where more people are involved. It's to build up the community, basically, you know. So that's how the KalaCircle was developed. And so I started with the visual arts, and then we added culinary arts, digital arts, performing arts, and recently even photography, you know. So with the visual arts, we did watercolors, and the artists are from the community itself. You know, they come up, if somebody recommends, and then we ask them to demo their thing. So it's our own people, showing our own people. You know, that's how we started. And we named it KalaCircle, so it has a name, you know, like what is this group called, you know. And then it recently became a subchapter of the Jain Center, where we have our bylaws, and we have different liaisons and all that. And I think if majority of the people stop coming to the Erasmus or the community, Jain community, this is another way of connecting with them. And for me, I'm a visual learner. I need, if I write it down, if I see pictures, I can remember better, you know. So that's how, like, I don't have it handy here, but I had another thing, like, and it even helped my concentration when I'm doing Naukar, that's when I write down the Naukar mantra, and it helps me to, because I'm always trying to perfect it. So then my concentration is 100% there. So my mind is not flowing anywhere, and I can remember it better. With the same token, Arun Vijayji Mara Sahib, who is also on the Jain Foundation platform, he draws sketches, and I realize I'm more of a visual learner. So from him, I could really retain a lot. So that's how I am a visual learner. So everybody is not the same. So I mean, they can listen to a lecture and then, but sometimes I would go sleep, if I don't understand and if it's monotonous,
True, true.
Yeah.
Yes, very nicely explained. And just one question. I think somebody has joined late. So just was asking that what is the use of masking tape and fine paper in Brahmi calligraphy or in calligraphy? If you could just reply in 1 or 2 lines on this. And with that, we'll also end our session.
Right. See, on this one, I had just to make it neat.
Mhm.
I had used masking tape to block it off. And this, by the way, is, the manila folders. You get your file folders. That works really well. If you have the file folder, I had it here, so it's a mess here right now.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. I just cut off this folder. These file folders you get, and this is not that expensive, the folders, and you can get it in a box. And what I did was I masked it with the masking tape. And then when the thing is dried, after that, you just lift it up. So then you get a nice border without trying to do too much work. It's like painter's tape, you don't mess up too much. And manila folders work really well. I cut up the manila folder and it takes the coffee really nicely.
Sure, sure. All right, thanks. So yeah, I think with that, yeah, many questions are coming now, where can we learn and how can we learn? So definitely I've been responding to this, that please subscribe to our the Jain Foundation YouTube channel. We have our playlist, 2 playlists. One is Brahmi Lipi, where you all first learn the Brahmi Lipi alone. And then we have a playlist called calligraphy, Brahmi calligraphy, which will have our first session already there, and this with after this in just couple of days time, this session will also be uploaded, so you can have a full knowledge about it. So do subscribe to our channel and go through those playlists. So with this, I think time has come. It's been yeah, we have crossed in fact. So I would, with your permission, Meena ji, I would like to end the session. And thank you so much. It was an amazing session, learning calligraphy with homemade made things, pens, making ink with coffee is such an excitement to learn. And you've shown many choices also for the pens, nibs, and yeah, pretty detailed work that you have done over a period that we could all see that. Thank you so much for your time once again, and joining, accepting our invitation and doing it again. We will definitely come back with something more like a series, so that our students, our members would learn, and we'll have a particularly done in a fashion where, from the basic to advanced, we can utilize your knowledge on our channel. Thank you so much, members or audience, for joining us. It was wonderful experience, and do send us your feedback. We will open our group for a while tomorrow. Sometimes, drop in your suggestions, your feedback on this, because it's a different kind of initiative that we have taken. So your feedback will value a lot. And with this, I would like to conclude today's session. Thank you so much for joining. Sabhi ko Jai Jinendra.
Thank you so much. And I would like to say Namo Bambiye Libiye.
Yes.
It's our reference to the Brahmi calligraphy, because it is given by our Tirthankars. So we just want to give our obeisance to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming. Thank you for giving me such a great support. Thank you.
Pleasure.